What if the very professionals who help Britain run smoothly, lawyers, accountants, even doctors, were suddenly hit with higher taxes? What if the next budget didn't just affect corporations or billionaires, but reached deep into the wallets of millions of working households? Stay tuned, because what's coming from Downing Street might change how Britain earns, spends, and saves for years to come. This week, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, speaking at an international business summit in Riyadh, confirmed that economic growth remains her government's absolute priority. She said, "I'm not going to do anything in the budget that reduces our opportunities to grow the economy." That sounds reassuring, but the reality beneath those words is more complicated. After facing fierce criticism last year for increasing national insurance contributions on employers, a move many blame for harming small businesses and the hospitality industry, Reeves is now under pressure to prove she can balance the books without stifling growth. Yet new reports suggest she's quietly preparing another round of tax changes that could affect millions. So what exactly is on the table? Insiders say the Treasury is considering a range of measures: a 1 or 2 pence rise in income tax, freezing income thresholds for additional years, a new higher council tax ban targeting expensive homes, and even a so-called mansion tax that could see property owners with houses worth more than £2 million paying an annual levy of 1% on the value above that threshold. Imagine owning a £3 million home and suddenly being asked to hand over £10,000 every single year just for the privilege of keeping it. How would that feel to the London homeowner or the small business owner who spent decades saving to buy their dream property? But the headline-grabbing proposal involves professionals operating under limited liability partnerships, the LLPs used by many lawyers and accountants. Currently, they're treated as self-employed and exempt from employer national insurance. Under new plans, that could change. The government may decide they should pay as though they were full employees, potentially increasing their tax burden by thousands of pounds each year. Would that really make Britain fairer, or simply drive skilled professionals abroad? Could this discourage investment and growth, the very things Reeves says she wants to protect? And how will these changes affect you, directly or indirectly? At the halfway mark, let's pause for a second. If you're watching this on England Now 7, let us know what you think. Should professionals pay more tax to help reduce the deficit? Or is the government targeting the wrong group? Drop your answer below, share this video, and subscribe so you never miss our deep dive analyses on British politics and economy. Now back to the story. Rachel Reeves faces a £20 billion black hole in the public finances, largely because the Office for Budget Responsibility downgraded productivity forecasts. To fill that gap, she's pursuing what economists call fiscal consolidation, in plain terms, tightening the belt. She insists this isn't about austerity, but about stability. In her words, you can't have any plan for growth that isn't built on stability. But stability comes at a cost. Analysts warn that the average household could face higher levies if businesses are spared further tax hikes. And let's not forget, this would be a direct breach of Labour's 2024 election pledge not to raise income tax. If you were in her position, what would you do? Would you risk breaking an election promise to keep the economy steady? Or keep your word and risk losing control of Britain's finances? Some economists argue that a small increase in income tax is inevitable, especially if the government refuses to borrow more. Others believe Reeves should instead focus on growth by cutting red tape, improving planning laws, and encouraging investment. Interestingly, during her trip to Saudi Arabia, a country pushing its ambitious Vision 2030, Reeves was asked what Britain's own long-term vision should be. Her answer was surprisingly modest, making it easier to get things done in Britain. Now think about that. For years, British businesses have complained that it takes far too long to approve infrastructure projects or attract investment. Could streamlining bureaucracy be the secret weapon the UK needs to boost growth without raising taxes? Or is that just another political soundbite that won't change much in practice? Economists estimate that Reeves's so-called fiscal headroom, the safety margin she keeps to absorb economic shocks, currently stands at around £10 billion. But she wants a bigger cushion, meaning further cuts or taxes could be on the way. She's made it clear she won't borrow extra money to fund struggling public services, such as the NHS, prisons, or transport. That raises another question. How can Britain improve its essential services without more investment? Public reaction so far has been mixed. Supporters say Reeves is taking a responsible approach, focusing on long-term sustainability. Critics call it short-sighted and accuse her of punishing the middle class while letting big corporations off the hook. What's your take? Should Britain's economic recovery come from taxing the rich, from spending cuts, or from smarter growth policies? And how do you think these decisions will shape everyday life? Your paycheck, your bills, your mortgage. Before we wrap up, here's one more thought. The Chancellor blames poor productivity partly on the 2008 financial crash and on Brexit. But can the country keep blaming the past forever? Or is it finally time for a bold new economic model? One that actually delivers for working people, not just the City of London? If you've got opinions, now's your moment. Comment below and tell us what you'd do differently if you were running the Treasury. Should Reeves go harder on the wealthy or rethink Britain's entire tax system? Don't forget, stay with England now. 7 for upcoming analysis of the November budget. We'll break down every measure and tell you what it means for your income, your savings, and your future. Subscribe, share, and keep the conversation going. And remember, the decisions being made right now in Westminster could define Britain's economic direction for the next decade. Will they lead to prosperity or push the country further into financial strain? Only time will tell, but we'll be here to follow every step. Sources: Evening Standard. Millions of households to be hit with tax rises in the budget. The Guardian. Rachel Reeves considering raising income. Tax to reduce deficit. Reuters. UK lawyers attack reported budget tax hike proposal. Financial Times. How Reeves's tax reforms could reshape Britain's professional class.